everything's been said, but I haven't said everything. That's how I put it in my head. It's like, how can I put it through this meat grinder up here to
Right.
spit something out that is unique to me? What is
Do you get all your
Rudy's?
quotes from this podcast? Have you just like been like piling up like really baller, like really good, succinct
the,
quotes throughout this whole
these
thing, or are
are
these just
just
off the dome?
a couple of those are mine that I have that I
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
in, and they're kind of like things I keep in mind when I'm
It's
writing, when
resonating
I'm
with me.
working. Yeah,
Yeah,
good. Because it's like, oh yeah, it's like I don't have to let those things hold me back the way they have held me back. I'm
for sure.
always all about like trying to remove barriers, right? We're trying to
Hmm.
remove barriers between us and what we want. So that
Yeah,
happens in the gym. How? By making it easier to work out. Bring your clothes, put on your tank top under your work shirt, have your protein shake ready, bring your bottle, have a bag in your car. You know what I mean?
yep,
How does that work on stage? Getting rid of my fear of failure,
yeah.
or being okay with being hack,
Hmm.
or just having fun. Like, how can I remove all of this bullshit that I put in my own way to
Yeah,
to stop me from doing the things I want to do? And that's
100%.
ultimately feels so good when you're like,
Yeah,
oh, I am able to flow into the next thing. I am able to move on and write a joke in a new way. I can make this stronger. I can talk about that thing. I can challenge myself to talk to that person outside of comedy.
right.
And so getting yourself in the places to do that is the biggest task, right?
Yeah.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tibersi. Hello and welcome, my friends, to another episode of Jokes in the Gym with Rudy Tibersi. I'm your host, Rudy Tibersi. What is up, my friends? I'm excited to chat with you today. I recently applied again for the Oregon Country Fair stage as a comedic act. We have been doing this for a couple of years. It's a show where we have comedians perform fair-related challenges while they perform comedy. Oh, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. For those of you who don't know, I'm an Oregonian, born and raised. I moved overseas for a handful of years, and when I came back, I got a little more involved in the Oregon Country Fair. I was very fortunate to be more involved. It's something that just happens down the street, down the road from me, less than 30 minutes away in Veneta, Oregon. And it's something that people from all over the world come to. You might describe it, or the New York Times has described it as Burning Man without the tech. And I guess that's kind of appropriate. There's 3 days of performances and fun and stages and music and vaudeville and all kinds of performers and spoken word, which is what I and my friends have been a part of the last couple of years. And it's so much fun. It's a blast. It is a place that makes joy and awe and wonder a little bit more accessible. Oh, and uh dangly balls. There's just everybody flowing all over the place, walking around. You got to cover up bits. You got to cover up the bits in pub, but not at the sauna. And it's filled with so much fun and joy and connection. I've had magical experiences there the 2 years that I've been a truly active member of Oregon Country Fair. And I'm really hopeful that we'll get another shot this year. I just, like I said, got the application in this week. That application date kind of snuck up on me, so I'm glad I checked and remembered and got it in. And it was fun to kind of revisit some of the performances as well, because I record them on my phone just so I have them for posterity at the very least. I try to record everything I can, and I suggest you do too. And you never know when you're going to get a fun set or a good moment or something you can put out there online, or just something you can study to get better at. There's a lot of reasons to record your sets. And I have to admit, I don't study mine as much as I could or should, probably because it's painstaking to watch yourself do comedy. Yeah, it takes a lot to get in that right mindset to be able to like watch yourself do comedy and get better. Like, oh, I'm going to watch this video right now. I'm going to watch this set and get better at it. And there was a time when I was pretty good at that, pretty disciplined in that regard. And I'm not quite as disciplined, although I still do record stuff. I like to. It's fun. You never know when you'll be able to put stuff together and use that in a fun way. So I still certainly do. And while I was looking at the video for the fair, for Oregon Country Fair performances, I spliced it up to get something into the application for the application because they require some sort of video. And it was fun. It was fun to make a little 10-minute video that is not open for public consumption, but I think represents what the show can look like. We did it twice last year at two different venues, Shea Ray's and Spirit Tower at the Oregon Country Fair site, and it was a blast. They were both super fun. The year before, we did 3 shows all at Spirit Tower at the same time, and that was fun too. So hopefully we'll have another great experience. I'd like to try to perform in as many stages as possible at OCF because there's like dozens of them around. And it's just fun to see them all and go to different shows, and you develop some favorites and some ones that you're really interested in and some ones that really attract the kind of show that you're excited about. So I want to keep expanding that and doing shows at a variety of places as we continue to grow. So that'd be fun. Oh, and the other super fun thing about that is that this week on the recap for the show, the episode is the 4 country fair friends I had on in a row. We've got Jorah and Devin and Nitai and Eugene. 4 awesome folks that are near and dear to my heart, and I'm really glad that I get to share some fair experiences with them. There's so many other people there that were involved in the comedy stage, and obviously the rest of fair. There's like tens of thousands of people that visit fair over this 3-day weekend. I think I saw like 50,000 visitors. And then there's also like thousands of people who stay overnight who put fair together, who are creating the stages, who are putting all the stuff in place so that other people can go and just have fun. And I feel really fortunate to have been able to have the sleepy sleeps over at fair, and especially in the camp that I've been a part of, because it's just been like so delightful, so welcoming, so community oriented, and it's just something that I feel really cool that is so much a part of the community here and in Oregon, and something that I wasn't a part of before and didn't grow up with. And so it's awesome to be able to check it out now as an adult. I'm an adult. I'm 40 something years. There's a 4 in my age. I'm an adult person. I do adult things. I write my signature on stuff. I schedule meetings, and I'm an adult. And I have a blast at country fair and wander around for 3 days in the woods and have a wonderful time. Just being so tired by the end, but full of life during the whole thing. So, yeah. But I am excited to check out the contributions and some of these conversations that I had with my friends from last year, kind of get in the vibe, get excited for what's to come in July. It's the second weekend of July most of the time, I think all the time. And it'll be like the 56th year, 50, something like that coming up. And it's like a big homage to Woodstock in many ways. It's carrying on a lot of those traditions. So a lot of the people who founded Fair have connections to that time, and it's awesome. That's what it's all about. You see some of the old pictures of Fair. You see like Ken Kesey and stuff like that at Fair. It's dope. And you never know who you're going to see at Fair. I bumped into Reggie freaking Watts. Oh my gosh. It was so fun. I won't share the entire story because it's on a couple episodes. On the Gene Kailiuli episode, it's on there a little bit more. and we'll see what else we hear from our friends today. I'm going to quit blabbing, quit yapping, quit chapping, and get into some of our conversations. Get into some of our conversations with my good friends. And the first conversation we're going to check out is with someone who's actually not a comedian. She is a spoken word artist, and she is very funny, and we're laughing all the time when we're hanging out. But Jorah LaFleur is a big part of the spoken word camp, and is just a big part of the spoken word scene in Eugene in general. She's awesome and talented and has been doing things around here for a long time. And if you ever get the chance to go see her do her thing, check it out because she's awesome. And I'm excited to hear some of our conversations. So enjoy this snippet of my chat with Jorah LaFleur.
If you could sit down and have one of those conversations with early Fair Jorah, younger Jorah out at Fair, what kind of input would you try to share with that young lady?
Gosh, that's an interesting. I don't know. I got a little tangled in the reality of it because I'm so happy that my younger self felt safe enough to just do all the crazy stuff I did at that time. Like I would in my present self, I would give myself all this like practical advice, some of what we've been discussing, just how to probably better take care of myself physically, and maybe just, some mental advice around how to pace myself and what to focus on. But I'm really glad that my younger self got to just friggin', be like, speaking of running, I used to have a lot of energy. I literally ran around that place. I had the energy to just dance and dance and dance for hours. And I wasn't focused on being, now I feel heavily responsible for the experience of many other people as a coordinator, all these things. I wasn't responsible for shit. I was like, as long as I did my little shift, I was just completely on my own. I got to follow every impulse and do whatever I wanted. And I definitely, I've never been like a crazy party for party's sake person, but I will just say my younger self had a different relationship to psychedelics than I have now. And she had a good time. So I wouldn't want to take that away from her, that kind of thing. So I think it's like, it's hard to, it's hard to think about wanting to change anything. But I think, so if I was thinking about another human coming in, part of my orientation, if you're a new person to Fair, I think it depends so much on like, who are you? How old are you? Like, what's your, what is the magic going to be about for you? For anyone, of course, I absolutely would suggest do everything you can to take good care of yourself. Make good choices with the hydration and the footwear and the trying to sleep, and, be careful with any kind of substances, especially I would tell my younger self, like, hey, your brain's still cooking, be careful with that. But, I was very fortunate. I think figuring out, so this is, I think part of what I'll say it this way. Part of what I would enjoy telling my younger self is like, hey, the thing that is one of the things that is going to matter most to you in your life, eventually you will get to do here in this magical place that you love. You will get to go from being someone who is like running around enjoying all these performances to being on the performer side of things. And that has been an incredible joy for me. And it's such a natural, it came about very naturally as an extension of the work that I was doing in the community. Similar to yourself, right? It's like, this is a thing that I do when I'm doing, and then I get to bring it out here. And so I think I think it's nice for people to get to experience what matters to them in the context of Fair. So like if you're a healer, right? Like how can you connect into that part of the Fair experience? I had a friend out there. I saw him out there for the first time. He's an amazing cook and he worked at a food booth this year, and it's like, so what's your, yeah, how can your real life and what you really care about not be separate from fair, so you don't have to feel like you're a tourist, or I mean, unless that's what you want. Also, it's like, hey, it's great, come out and
Yeah.
be entertained. Just like, if
Yeah.
that's what you want to experience out of it, like maybe you're a dental hygienist and you're like, I just want to go out there, get my titties painted, and like get it, just have an experience. Like, that's
Get it.
so
Yeah.
beautiful. But I think if you're more, I think sometimes people feel from the outside like they don't know how, it's like, how can I connect into it? And I think it's like, yeah, well,
Mhm.
there's so many jobs out there. If you're willing to work hard, there are so many jobs out there that need to get done and ways to connect in.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I feel just very, very grateful and very lucky that I kind of have had the opportunity to do both.
Mhm.
I had my shirt off titty time, and now I have my like
Yeah.
well dressed spreadsheet coordinator time.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Jorah, like she was saying, she's had so many experiences at Fair, and she's thankful for all of them. And I love that. And you can do that as well. Like, embrace. That's a good reminder for all of us to embrace whatever step we're on right now. What are we doing? How are we living our lives? Where is our focus? And how can we use that focus to enhance other parts of our lives? I love what she said about Fair and bringing your gifts to Fair. What are you doing? What is exciting to you in your life, and how can you experience that in this other container? Because Fair is like a container unlike most others, and I feel really fortunate to get to be a part of it and to have a little titty time too. Who doesn't like a little titty time? I think that we're all on board with that here and there. So, uh, I've learned so much from Jorah. We've gone on so many talks around Fair. She's saved my bacon and the bacon of others who are Fair newbies trying to get into Fair on night one, or not inappropriately, just like they're late or they had to do a bunch of other stuff before they got in and that kind of stuff. So, or it's like you just get lost at Fair. Like, you just get so lost. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think a measure of how much fun you have at Fair is how many times you get lost. And eventually you end up where you should be, or you don't. As is the case with people like Reggie Watts, who was potentially going to perform at one of the shows we had 2 years ago. And he showed up the moment that we closed the show. And so it was just one of those things that was such a Fair experience. Like, oh my gosh, we met Reggie Watts in front of the Ritz. We were hanging out with him. We're chit chatting for hours. He was like, yeah, I'll come to the show. I'd love to be a part of it. And in true Fair form, he wasn't. But last year he headlined, and it was a friggin' dope main stage show. And I got to see that with so many wonderful friends, and it was just awesome. So, play whatever part you want, whatever step you're on. Have a blast with it. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the time you have at Fair, one way or another. And this next guy has helped me do that as well. He's a long-time fairgoer, even though he's 15 years younger than me. He's been going to Fair for almost 20 years. And when we've co-hosted some of the shows together at Fair Flow Comedy Show, formerly known as Fairly Legal, formerly known as whatever, he's been a lot of fun, and I really like playing with that dynamic. Like, the younger guy who's the more experienced vet, versus along with the older guy, myself, who's kind of the newcomer, kind of the newbie, and we have a good time with that. And I really appreciate this guy, and he's a hustler. He's got a ton of friends. He's always bringing the energy. This poor guy hurt himself at a comedy show last week. Oh my gosh, we were at a show at Level Up with so many wonderful friends. And he's like, oh shit, I just think I tore my Achilles. And I was like, no! So hopefully that heals up before Fair, and he's able to hobble around and have a good time all weekend long. We'll see how that goes. But this guy, Devin Jones, you can check out his shows around town. He and Trey Lawn are putting together really good shows with Day in the Life Entertainment. So check it out. And I'm excited to hear a little bit more from our conversation with Mr. Devin Jones.
What would you like to impart on young Devin? What do you wish young Devin would have known, or what do you think would have aided younger Devin in his comedy journey so far?
You know, it's funny. I wrote a poem about that. And I actually didn't share it this year as spoken word, but my homegirl, Lil Dev. So we got Big Dev and Lil Dev.
Yeah,
You know,
she's
I think
kicking
you know
it.
Lil Dev.
Yeah, she's around.
She comes to a lot of my shows and stuff like that. She came over and slept over at my mom's house. I wasn't even here, and she found a picture of myself, and she sent it to me, and I just. God damn it, Rudy.
Take your time.
I wanted to tell myself what I needed to know, you know, and to show up authentically as myself every day, not get too down on myself when I fuck up. Know that lovers are going to leave, people are going to die, people might not be what they seem, but the people around me will bring out my best self. And so I'm a reflection of the people I surround myself with. Dropping a gangster ass tear on you right now.
Hell yeah. Cry those tears, G. I love it. Yeah, dude. No, I think that's beautiful. And I think you do, as much as anybody, you know, take the time to feel the love from others. And so I think it's beautiful that you acknowledge that and you take the time to do it, and you take the time to be sad, to feel sorrow
it's
about
okay.
Yeah, like people don't want to do that, especially men of color. Like that's a hard thing for people to do. And so the fact that you can do that shows a lot of grace, humility, and loss of ego, like you mentioned earlier in the show.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I got some loss of ego in my pocket right now, actually. But yeah, no, I was so blessed to grow up the way that I did, and like I always say, I would never trade my shit for your shit. I don't think you would ever trade your shit for my shit.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? I already went through my shit.
Yeah,
I still got to go through it.
Yeah,
but you know, I was blessed to have, you know, an amazing mother, crazy ass father, and that made me exactly who I am. And you know, most days I really like myself.
Good. I love that. Yeah, we should all be liking ourselves, and I know most of us really like Dev. I don't hear people talking shit about you, so it's great, man. You put it out there.
I made that a point in my life. I remember at one point I was like, if anybody ever talks crazy on me, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, I'd be like, what's the deal with that? No, I love that. Right on, man.
Right on. There is Devin. Love that guy. Love that sentiment. Hope we can all take it to heart a little bit more now and again. That we want to surround ourselves with the people who love us, who we love, who bring out the best in us. I think that that's so important. And I think Fair does a really good job of creating that space. You know, I've felt it, at least. I know not everybody has always felt that acceptance, because it is kind of an exclusive party in a way, not in a bad way, but I also try to be conscientious of it, trying to include people who want to be a part of it and who try to inhabit the values of Fair, like acceptance and open-mindedness and love and joy and connection. And so it's a wonderful place to explore all those ideas and so friggin' much more. Can't wait to see a homie Devin there this year. And that brings us to another good friend of mine. She is a spoken word artist herself. She's been involved in Fair, and she has also been a part of the Fair Flow comedy show. In the first year, one of the challenges we had James Manning perform was he drew a face painting challenge. So he had to perform comedy while this next guest, my friend Nitai, while she was face painting James. And James is like a big old burly bearded guy. And so for him to be doing comedy while he was getting his face painted was pretty fun. And then when we were walking around and hanging out afterwards, people were like, James, dude, I love your face paint. And it just like really fit the bill for everything that the weekend is. And so it was a lot of fun. And she is super talented. This person, she does spoken word. She's a dancer. She does so much. And we've connected over the years here in Eugene. And so I'm always so delighted when we get to spend a little time together. We're both fans of movies and fans of art and so many different things. And we can just talk for hours when we get together. So it was a delightful experience to have her on the podcast. And I'm excited to revisit some of our conversation on what she has learned as a very experienced individual. She works with people on psychedelic journeys. She's actually, I'm not sure what the term is, but she's a facilitator for folks that are going on psychedelic journeys to try to open up expanded levels of consciousness. Is that what you say? I don't know. I'm not taking people on these journeys. I've never been on one, but I think it's really cool work that she's doing. And again, I'm excited to hear some of our conversation. So please enjoy my chat with Nitai Alekshevitz.
There's a lot of ways I could ask you a similar kind of question. That I could ask you, what do you wish you knew when you were starting your work in psilocybin journeys? Or what do you wish you knew when you moved to Eugene? Or what advice would you give Nitai, who was just moving to Eugene? Like, that's one that I'm kind of interested in hearing more about. But I feel like lessons you've learned in these important different arenas of your life, I'm really interested in. So yeah, what kind of advice would you give earlier versions of Nitai?
Oh my goodness. Whether or not we own or admit it, I think many of us, including myself, I guess I should only speak about myself, have this unconscious idea that one day we just arrive. Like, oh, I've arrived. It's whatever your idea of the perfect relationship is, the perfect job, enough accolades. And, the older I get, the more I learn to cultivate humility. And like when I say humility, that's kind of like an interesting thing. Humility is the constant willingness to think that you don't know. Like the constant willingness to be in a space of, I don't know. I actually don't know the answer. I'm actually really embracing growth. I'm actually really embracing learning. And, it's one thing to say like, oh yeah, the day you stop growing is the day you die. But to actually embrace that, to come back to this term grokking, which is from the book Stranger in a Strange Land, which is, this alien comes to Earth and he starts using the word grok and people are like, what is it? He's like, you don't have a word for it. It's to know something on an embodied level, to know it in your heart, not just know it in your mind. And so, to grok that, like, I am constantly a humble student of life and I need to be able to balance that with continuously choosing to love and accept myself. Like it's one thing to think that and another thing to understand how to do it. And I feel like I showed up in Eugene, and I was just, it's always like, when is it going to be the place I arrived? Is Eugene going to be the place? Is this going to be the moment that I, and I just really released a lot of ego attachment that I used to have that was like I'm going to be someone great, and it's like you have this value system where you're constantly measuring yourself against some idea of what success is. And it's like, to me, the truest form of success is inner peace. Like when I really can show up and be at peace with myself, no matter no matter what's happening, which is very hard to cultivate. And also to just be in this space of like, how do I cultivate appreciation? Because somebody was telling me the other day that like they feel a lot of shame around receiving. Like they feel a lot of shame actually at what they're even being given because they don't feel like they just deserve it. And I was like, I've been toying around with this idea that appreciation is the antidote to shame. Because, or like I've often said, responsibility, the ability to respond can come about when shame isn't hamstringing you. So if we can look at our lives and ourselves like, oh, I'm not going to arrive one day. Like, actually, it's not a place. It's not even a state of being. I'm going to be constantly in a process, but I'm going to learn that how I show up for myself and other people in that process is something I will choose anew every day. And if I can appreciate the tiny little discernments and nuances of that growth every day, I'll turn around one day and be like, my life is amazing. I lived that life. I don't need to arrive. I've been arriving every day. That's my long answer.
I love it. I don't need to arrive. I've been arriving every day is a gem from Nitai Alekshevitz. Nitai, it's so delightful to chat and connect and get to have each other in our lives. I'm really grateful for that.
Oh my gosh, I love those ideas from Nitai. What an awesome bunch of words to just put into our ear holes. The idea of cultivating humility is an important one for me. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to just allow whatever to be. Que sera, sera. And she talked about that as far as arriving. I had this old joke that I would say. Sometimes I still say it. I like to keep my voice directions on, even when I know where I'm going, just for that extra boost of confidence at the end. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I have arrived. Thanks, Robot Mom. But she talked about this idea of arriving and arrival and what that means. And that the truest form of success is inner peace. I love that. I love that. Like how it's kind of true. Can you think of like if you have inner peace, you're freaking flying high, dog. If you truly have inner peace, if you sit down at the end of the day and you're like, you know what? I gave my best. I did what I could. I know that I need rest and I'm a human and that I'm working hard and that I'm lucky to be surrounded with the beauty and the challenges that surround me daily. That is success. If you can sit down and say that at the end of the day, that's success. Say, I know it's awesome and it's muck and it's frickin' turds and crap. Sorry to say turds and crap. Whatever, because sometimes it is. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's gross and you're knee deep in all the shit and you're just like, well, guess I got to keep going. And then you do. And I think Nitai embodies that. And I think Nitai really sees that in other people. And so I think she's a really good person to help people when they're going through changes and adjustments and challenges. She sees me. She sees people. And I appreciate that when we spend time together. I'll probably text her today. Who are you going to text today? Maybe you could text a friend today that you're like, you know what? I thought about this thing you said. I really appreciate it. Or I miss you. Or what are you doing this weekend? That kind of stuff helps. It helps me. But, you know, I'm trying to get places. Although I don't need to arrive because I've been arriving every day. Holla, Nitai. And I'm excited to listen to some more of my conversation with my final guest on this episode, Eugene Kailiuli, who I just have such a blast with. When Eugene and I hang out or whenever we see each other, we're smiling, we're cracking jokes. It's just like free and easy, dog. I listened to a lot of the episode that he was on again, and we're like laughing a lot. We have a good time. And so I'm really glad that he is here and he's around and he contributes the way he does. And he hasn't quit comedy for good. He mentioned in the podcast that he's thought about it like multiple times. And I get it. That's part of the game. wondering if it's right for you, wondering if this is what you should be doing. But then you come back. You come crawling back to comedy, baby. Because you love it. Because we love it. We're happy to be a part of it. And I'm happy that Eugene's a part of it. I'm happy that he was at Fair. We had some really good moments. We met each other in the sauna watching Reggie Watts this last year, and it was a blast. It was awesome. We were like, nude in the midst of the hundreds of people in there as Reggie Watts is freaking playing 10 feet from us. And Eugene's like, is that Rudy? I was like, whoa, Eugene. We like hugged and like watched an awesome performance. It was rad. Had such a great time. And I'm excited to listen to some more of our conversation. I hope you enjoy whatever it is you're about to hear from me and Gene, baby. Eugene Kailiuli.
That's where the energy regulation comes into play. It's like, how 100%. Can I make it so I am able to be in the zone I need to be in for this particular thing? And that comes with planning too, right?
Yeah,
you got
everything you said about like making sure you got your protein shake ready and everything. I have all that. Like I work from 8 to 5 every day, so I gotta like eat lunch at 3, so I have enough food in me to work out right after work. And then and I do like an hour and a half workout at Planet Fitness. Shout out Planet Fitness. I'm just dancing wall twerk for wall twerk for a good 10. Yeah, 3 reps.
The lunk alarm is from your badonkadonk.
It is, yeah. It's from my ass just clapping way too loud. Yeah.
I saw you in the sauna. You got them cheeks.
Yeah, I got the cheeks. Yeah, you too, buddy. Hey, just 2 cheeked up boys here. But yeah, the planning and everything, and just like I know what I need to do to get to the place that I want to be, you know what I mean? So like I know how I'm gonna time this out. I'm gonna have 30 minutes to eat, and then I want to have time to digest before I go off and do an open mic, because I know that I'll be tired if I eat too soon to the close to the open mic, and I can't be tired on stage because that's not my vibe. I'm not I can't come at it with, I'm not a low energy kind of guy. That's how I so it's like I've like learned to accept certain things about myself and just like accept that I'm going to be doing this for such a long time. Like I've quit comedy like 5 times and I always kept on crawling back. Like there was a period in Texas where I took like a whole year off, and because I was just scared. I was just like, I don't belong in comedy. I can't do this, just like all that stuff. I'm sure a lot of people kind of think about, but I stayed in and I did it. I didn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just eating, and I don't know if like I've talked to you, opened up to many people about this, but like there was a time where I was just eating Cinnabons every single day, just nonstop, just like Postmates, just
that was
laying
your
in
thing.
bed. That was my thing, man. That was just eating 2. I would like order 2 big Cinnabons. I'm like, I'll eat 1 now at 2 p.m. then I'll eat 1 after dinner later. And
that's
I'll
the
eat
life.
1 sitting.
But
I wasn't doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just chasing that center, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just, like,
chasing
nonstop.
the cinnamony dragon.
Addicted. It actually was so bad. Like, and I was just like not working out at all. And I was just, that was probably like when I was at my worst, just like not doing anything. And
how'd you get out?
You just go crazy after. I feel like you get so tired of being comfortable. I was just so chronically comfortable, which COVID kind of got me into that, like not going out and socializing. And I just didn't want to feel pain, like social rejection or comedic rejection, just not doing well on stage. But I've realized after that, like, it's so much better just to feel that pain of like just fucking it up, flubbing it with a girl, flubbing it in general. Because every time you go out, there's a chance you won't flub it up and you'll do really well. And those days are amazing. And that's what you go for. So
they're worth holding on to.
They're worth holding on to. So the stage is my new Cinnabon. Is my new Cinnabon, I'm in Cinnabons Anonymous. I'm taking the
Cinnabon Anonymous.
Yeah, Cinnabon Anonymous. Yeah. Are you spiraling? Are you in a spiral?
Are you in a cinnamony, sugary spiral?
Yeah. They make it sound delicious.
Yeah.
Are you in a frosting filled, just cinnamony?
Are you ready to dive into the center of the cinnamony spiral?
Yeah. So I found like the new gooey center of myself, I feel like, and it's like, and now I've like accepted that I've quit so many times and I've come back because there's nothing else like it, in my opinion. It just feels so good to do it that I'm like, So it's like accepting what you're just going to be doing this. So
Yep.
even when you're having a bad day, like it's not the end of the world because you're always going to be doing this no matter what. So your feelings shouldn't dictate whether you go out or stay in or not, you know?
Yeah, it's weird because I'm a big feeler and a believer in feeling of your feelings, but also you gotta tell them to shut up sometimes and just go do something. You know, don't listen to your
Well, you can
feelings
like
all the time.
acknowledge the feeling without it taking control, right?
Yeah,
And do you think that's healthy still? I feel
of
like
course. Yeah, that's how we
acknowledging
should.
it and then denying it is maybe the wrong way to way to go.
Yeah, I
Like-
guess I was looking at myself with some harsher eyes than maybe was necessary in that last quote. But I guess the point is, I don't always want to let my feelings dictate what I do or don't do. You know, yes, I want my feelings to play a role, but I'm not always feeling up to doing stuff, and I should probably just do it instead, and just to
Right.
kick myself out of it. And
Yeah.
that work is a perfect example of that. You're not always feeling at your best when you're starting your work day, but guess what? You don't really have time to wallow in anything when you're there. You just got to do
Yeah.
your shit and
Gotta
move
do it.
and help people however you can.
Yeah.
I'm loving this convo, and there's a lot of things that have left my head multiple times
Sure,
throughout, which is great. That's a
Yeah.
good sign. I think that's a good sign. But one thing I did want to kind of like, and this is kind of similar to the typical question I ask at the end, but like, if you were going to give yourself some kind of like criticism, like, or things that you want to work on, be it in comedy or in health, what are those things, or what are those aspects that you'd like to get better at?
I guess, yeah, I think just getting my self-discipline up a little bit more, and I don't know, just learning to just like let myself enjoy certain things, because my brain does this thing where I get 5 minutes of like a honeymoon period after what I thought was a success, and then it's like an imposter thing where I'm just like, okay, but wait, no, like that's just because you're right after it, you know? It's like you're in the honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
Now let's start poking holes. Now let's start figuring out what went wrong and like what was the worst
Why
part of
should
it.
you feel bad?
Right. Okay, wait. You're going to have to feel bad about this. Let's figure out how.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like reverse engineering my happiness, or I don't, in a way, I don't
Sadness.
know if that makes my sadness. Thank you. Yes. So I guess just being like, just letting myself feel good about things for longer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being proud of myself more. I think
Totally.
like, you know, getting into the affirmations and everything, which, oh my God, I've done that a couple times. It sucks. I hate it. It just feels so dumb to me, you know,
So
just writing
forced.
down. It's so forced and just like weird in a way, but I don't know if that's because of, I don't know. You could relate to that, right? Is that like a thing? It's like hard to
Totally.
be nice to yourself.
It's not easy at all. And rather than affirmations, sometimes what I do is I post questions around, you know, like my one right here, it says, what would this look like if it were fun? So if you're ever down in the dumps, if you're doing something that you hate, or you're just gritting your teeth to get through, ask yourself that question. Think about it for just a moment. What would this look like if it were fun?
Okay.
And that
I like
is,
that.
I like that. Another one that I like is, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be today? How do I want to show up for others? What skills do I want to get better at? Those kinds of questions help propel me rather than drag me back.
100%.
So when I frame them in this yes you can way, I find that takes me to a better place than if I'm like, I really got to work on this, you know. And that's pretty commonsensical if you think about it. But stalking yourself with a couple questions like that when you're in potentially a spiral, when you're about to get to that ooey gooey center, when you're excited to go just dive into it,
you gotta be careful with those types of phrases, Rudy. I'm still recovering. You gotta be
trigger warning.
Post-facing.
You're like texting post. Oh shit, I'm back. I'm back. They're like, we
back.
knew it.
Oh God, dude.
Here's your rewards points.
I give them my chip instead of
your chocolate chip to them. So those, I totally empathize with all of that. challenge of like feeling like this. I've thought I was never funny as recently as of 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm no good at this, or this sucks. And usually that's the hunger talking, or depression, or tiredness, or fatigue, or whatever it is. But I honestly do try to keep those things in mind. Or like when I read a set list, I'll write, what feeling do I want to imbue this set with? So like just on the page, like if I want it to be joy, if I want it to be curiosity, if I want it to be flirtation, or whatever. Because when you got 3 to 5 minutes to do comedy, you can, when you put a feeling in it towards the others, I think it comes through.
Yeah. And also just like more of a concise answer on my part is like, because there's so many times when I feel bad, I just wallow in it and I feel like it'll last forever. It's very like maybe immature version of or part of my brain where I just feel bad. I'm like, I'm not going to be funny forever. This feeling, because I feel unfunny, that's lasted forever now. I'm not funny anymore. You know, I'm not attractive. I don't feel attractive. I'm never going to be. Yeah, I'm ugly now. So I'm like, how do I live as an ugly person now? I guess I'll be better at comedy. Maybe I am funny. You know what I mean? But like knowing that the feeling will go away, you know, and just knowing that I'll have a good show the next time. This one was bad, but I'm going to keep on doing this for so long that there's statistically going to be a next show. I think very logistically about it. And I'm going to feel that good feeling, which is not too far in the rear view, you know, because there's like sometimes the depression comes up like 2 days after feeling on top of the mountain, you know, and those days I'm thinking like, how did I ever feel good about myself ever? It's just very bad. Why did I ever let myself feel like that? But that's what I'm saying is, I guess just let yourself feel how you're going to feel and accept it for that moment, you know, but just just keep an open mind and know that you're going to have a high again at some point. Cause that's all it is. Totally. Highs and lows. And one makes you appreciate the other. And it's very cliche, but it's hard in the moment when you're feeling bad to, you know, actually take it seriously.
Yeah, but they'll pass. And once you know that they will pass.
They shall pass.
Yeah, Dr. Gary, for
shout out Gary.
Shout out to Gary. He and I talked with Devin about this on a recent episode, but that very same idea that you're talking about is called concretization, which is the thought when you're in something, when you are wallowing, the feeling that thought or that feeling will never leave. That is concretization. And even just being exposed to that term helps me again. Me stay away from being in there for too long.
It makes you feel less alone too. Like, oh, there's a name for it. That means that like it's happened enough to where people, you know, how to categorize it. So that 100%. Makes me feel more comfortable. Yeah, I'm concreting. Just, you know, concrete. You know,
I'm concreting too.
I'm concreting. That's what I've been doing this whole time. Yeah, just this thing.
Right on. And there was a little bit of my conversation with Eugene. Love that guy. I think you can tell that in our conversation that we have a lot of fun chatting with each other, and we're happy to learn from and listen to one another. So a lot of good food for thought. I still don't even know what the term thought means. THOT? I'm still not quite sure. Maybe I should look it up. I don't know if I should. Just be admitting that to everyone right now. No, there's so much fun in that little bit of convo with Eugene, so I hope you enjoyed it. And that's going to do it for this week. I'm excited to move towards Fair. Oregon Country Fair is going to be delightful this year once again. Hopefully I'm able to participate and perform and be a part of it again. And I think that the comedy stage, the Fair Flow Comedy Show, really adds a fun element to the weekend for myself and for others. I hope if you got the time, availability, I think that the Oregon Country Fair should be on your bucket list, even if you're just going for a day pass sometime. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're capturing a bit of love, having a bit of fun, and that you're good to yourself. Thanks for stopping by. And I'll see you next time, right here on Jokes and the Gym.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tibersi.
This is your 20th year here? This is my 18th year. Oh, man. I know. People don't think I like go to fair. I don't look like your average fair goer. You look like a Lane County fair guy. and Rudy, you know the county fair is my favorite place to experience racism.
Jokes in the jam. Jokes in the jam. Jokes in the jam.